Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It was good to see the seats start to fill. Just, nary a few 10 minutes or so ago, we were kind of wondering, right? So welcome. So I was thinking about Shabbat. And Shabbat reminds us of the rest that God had after a very busy week of creation. And we welcome Shabbat to rest from our weekly creations, our busy lives full of producing results at work, gaining knowledge from our studies, to all the students, and raising up our children. But this Shabbat comes after a week of tearing down. This Shabbat, we are, once again, staggering into this day of rest and peace with heavy hearts and minds, struggling to understand the most recent horrors that took place at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, following so closely after the senseless tragedy in Buffalo, New York. There's no understanding the incomprehensible, especially as these occurrences are becoming more and more and more common. So how do we celebrate a moment of rest when there's so much pain and senseless tragedy? As Jews, we have a history of carrying pain as we strive to create a better world. In order to continue our commitment to tikkun olam, to repairing the world, to not allow ourselves to become numb to the pain, we must cherish these moments of rest, of peace that Shabbat offers to us, both as individuals and as a community. We may not emerge when Shabbat is over completely refreshed, but perhaps rested enough to continue our commitment to pursue what is right and what is good. I believe with all my heart that together we do make the world a better place. We lift each other up, we keep each other from despair by working together and by sharing Shabbat together. Together, we will build this world with chesed, olam chesed yibaneh, with grace, benevolence, with compassion and love. Olam chesed yibaneh, ya la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, ya la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, ya la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, ya la 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 la. I will build this world from love, ya la 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 la. And you must build this world from love, ya la 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 la. And if we build this world from love, la 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 la, then God will build this world from love, ya la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, ya la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, ay 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 ay. Olam chesed yibaneh, ay 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 ay. Olam chesed yibaneh, ay 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 ay. Olam chesed yibaneh, ya la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, ya la 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 as we transition and we welcome the Sabbath bride, so wonderful that we get to welcome each other too. Not just by typing into the chat, although I welcome you at home, please do type into the chat, but also now in person. So let's take a moment to say hello, maybe to somebody you haven't seen for a while, maybe to somebody this is the first time you're seeing each other. I can't hear you. Are you talking? I'm trying to do this gently. I think it's working.
Let's greet the Sabbath bride,
Let's,
shall we?
I think she's waiting. We continue on page, and you have to bear with me because page numbers are not my strong suit. I'm missing my page numbers.
138.
My Rabbi Alfie, we joke about how I know it is written here, but I have to find it with my eyes.
Oh.
She does the page numbers. So page 138, L'chadodi. L'chadodi, likrot kala, pene Shabbat nekabla, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom umevorach, Shamon v'zachor, v'dibur echad, Hishmiyanu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet, v'liteilah, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom mevorach, likrat Shabbat lekul v'nelecha ki nekol haberacha merosh miken nesucha sof ma'aseh v'machshavat tchila, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom umevorach. Hitoreri, ki Daberi kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom umevorach.
Bohi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha utzola toch emunei am segula boi chala
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom umevorach. Please be seated. We welcome Shabbat with Lecha Dodi, but we also are guided by the angels as we light the candles. Shalom Aleichem can be found on page 120. No, 142. See? It's written right there. But I can do this. And the candle blessings on page 120. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashareh, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bokem Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivonu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We rise for the Baruch Hu, which can be found on page 146. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. We continue together on the bottom of page 1. It's here. I know it is. Actually, no, on the top of page 149. See, I had you waiting on the edges of your seats. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide and time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans into infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 150.
Who knows how long I've loved you? Who knows I love you still? I could wait a lonely lifetime. If you want me to, I will. Love you forever and forever. Love you with all my heart. Love you whenever we're together. Love you when we're apart. And when at last I find you, our song will fill the air. Make it loud so I can hear you. Make it easy to be near you. For the things you do endear you to me, oh, you know I will. And if I ever saw you, I didn't catch your name, but it never really mattered. I will always feel the same. Love you forever and forever. Love you with all my heart. Love you whenever we're together. Love you when we're apart. And when at last I find you, our song will fill the air. Make it loud so I can hear you. Make it easy to be near you. For the things you do endear you to me, oh, you know I will. La da 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 da, da 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 da, la da 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 da. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
We continue on page 154. Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. We continue on page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
מי כמוך באל אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילו עושה פלא, נורא תהילו עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי היה לפני משה. זה אלי עמדו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Lie, 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 ya, lie, 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 ya, lie, 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 ya, lie, 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 ya, lie, 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 ya, lie, 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 ya, lie, 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 lie. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
So Michael and I actually talk about which melodies we want to use during the service, because the melodies reflect where we're at. And because we're up here, we get to decide where we're at. It's kind of true. I always ask.
She always asks.
Always ask.
We do it her way.
So tonight, we were thinking about the Hashkivenu and what it means, a shelter of peace. We can interpret that in so many different ways. And just as we started the service thinking about where is our shelter of peace? And Michael reminded me that we have this Hashkivena. So the words aren't all in the book, but I think a lot of you know it. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. I think Michael got it right. See? We continue on page 154. No, we do not. On page 162. Boy, I'm worse than usual on tonight.
But consistent.
But consistent, yes.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Olam Veshamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Olam Beni uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Veshamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz Veshamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Olam Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Veshamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat L'dorotam Olam. Please rise and join me for the tefillah beginning on page 164. Adonai shefatati tachu fi yadei latecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei
We continue silently through page 181, standing or sitting as is your custom, with the prayers of the prayer book or the prayers of your heart.
Adonai,
Suri,
Suri,
Adonai, Suri, Vegoali, Adonai,
Adonai,
Suri,
Suri,
Adonai, Suri, Vegoali. Go inside your heart, just see. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the word of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true, may they be acceptable to you, oh my rock and my redeemer. So one of the parts of the service that I actually really love is when we say a prayer for healing. And that sounds a little funny. That's something I really love. But it's a way to keep the people that I'm thinking about, that I'm concerned about, that I'm worried about, here with me. And I'm not just holding them inside me. Even if I don't say their names out loud, I'm sharing them with you. Because when we gather together, our prayers are elevated. We can pray on our own. I'm sure we all do, especially the night before a test. So why come together? Because each of us brings who we are at this moment and who we are holding at this moment. And when we say a prayer for peace, our hearts meld, our souls rise, and we touch each other, and it's helpful. And so this is one of my favorite prayers during the service. I love that we do this together. Page 371.
Misheperach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheperach imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shleimah, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. May God bless those who we hold in our hearts with health of body, of spirit. And then we transition to a special treat for tonight. We have Captain Philip Resnick. That's kind of fun to say. Captain Philip Resnick here with us. So we had requested a bio. You know, sometimes you just don't request early enough. But I think that's kind of okay, because I'm just excited to hear what you have to say, and we will all hear at the same time, and we will all get introduced to your story together. So I'd like to invite you up. Help yourself. Haven't had any.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom. It's one of the best introductions I've ever gotten. So, Shabbat Shalom. Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, or who I have not met, my name is Philip Resnick, and I'm currently a captain serving at Travis Air Force Base as an Air Force officer. I graduated from the Air Force Academy in 2017, and I've been serving for the last 5 years. Actually, this past Tuesday was 5 years since I graduated, and that's when the Air Force starts counting. So the 4 years at the Academy, just worthless to them in terms of retirement. A few weeks ago, Rabbi Alfie approached me and asked if I would be willing to give the drash tonight in order to commemorate Memorial Day weekend. And I think with the events in Texas and Buffalo over the last week, it's all the more fitting and all the more prescient that we're talking about this week as Memorial Day. For many, this weekend is a celebratory occasion marking the unofficial start of summer with backyard barbecues or fun trips out of town. But within the military community, the meaning of Memorial Day weekend is much more sobering. In the United States, Memorial Day is a commemorative occasion that honors the men and women who gave their lives in service to the United States. That is, those that died in the line of duty. This holiday differs from Veterans Day, which every November honors all members that used to serve in the United States military, and Armed Forces Day, which celebrates the members currently serving in the United States military. Out of the three, Memorial Day is the most somber, as we remember those who gave their lives in the line of duty, defending the United States and all it stands for. The holiday was established in the aftermath of the Civil War, when several former Union generals started what was then known as Decoration Day on the last weekend of May. The holiday was inspired by local activists who had already created Remembrance Days for the men from their towns who had died in service to the Union Army. Although it was first reserved as a specific memorial holiday for those who died during the Civil War, it eventually grew to be a day of remembrance for all men and women who died in service to our country in all wars, spanning from the American Revolution through the wars that the United States has participated in during the 21st century. After almost a century of observance, Memorial Day was certified as an officially recognized federal holiday in 1971. Around the world, many other countries celebrate holidays that are similar to Memorial Day, which are often centered around and inspired by existential conflicts that they have participated in. Many people here are probably familiar with Remembrance Day, formerly known as Armistice Day, observed every November in the nations of the British Commonwealth to commemorate those who gave their lives in World War I. And some of you may have heard about Anzac Day, on which Australia and New Zealand jointly honor those that gave the ultimate sacrifice to those two nations. However, I'm sure that almost everyone here is familiar with Yom Hazikaron, Israel's official Remembrance Day, which is marked each year on the 4th of Iyar on the Hebrew calendar, the day before Israel's Independence Day. Yom HaAtzmaut, which is celebrated on the 5th of Iyar, generally in late April or early May of the Gregorian calendar. When I first learned that Yom HaZikaron, a mournful day, immediately precedes Yom HaAtzmaut, one of the most joyful days on the Hebrew calendar, I was surprised. However, the dichotomy of celebration and soberness is a common theme in Judaism. We stomp on a glass at the end of a wedding to remember the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem during one of life's happiest moments, and the high holidays bring the elation of Rosh Hashanah, quickly followed by the solemnness of Yom Kippur. The extreme emotional highs and lows are also well known to those who have served in the military throughout history. Textbooks and memoirs are littered with examples of men and women who have triumphed in some of the world's most consequential battles, but simultaneously mourn their brothers and sisters in arms who sacrificed their lives to make those monumental victories possible. Of all the memorial holidays that exist, Yom HaZikaron may be the most powerful. In other countries, those observing memorial holidays may take part in a parade, go lay flowers on grave sites and monuments, or participate in a moment of reflection. However, in Israel, the entire country conducts a full, countrywide minute of silence at the beginning of the holiday. At 8 p.m. on the night of Yom HaZikaron, they sound a siren around the country, and everyone comes to a complete stop. Everything freezes for a full minute. Business transactions stop, public transportation doesn't run, and people driving on the highway pull over and get out of their cars to stand in respect for a moment of complete silence. It isn't surprising that of all countries in the world, it is Israel that has one of the most striking traditions on a day of remembrance for national military service. From its inception, the state of Israel has had to lean on military prowess to defend itself against both state and non-state actors who have tried to delegitimize or entirely eliminate the country. All Israelis, men and women, are required to spend at least 2 years in the IDF. And some of us here tonight may even know people who have made Aliyah to join the Israeli public forces. But the Jewish tradition of military service and contribution to the common good did not begin with the inception of the Israeli state. Jewish history is full of examples of men and women taking up arms to defend Judaism and ensure the survival of their communities. The Maccabees fought valiantly in a storied guerrilla-style fight against forced conversion at the hands of the Greeks, and centuries later, the members of the resistance in the Warsaw Ghetto conducted a months-long standoff against their Nazi oppressors. As we sit here tonight, the nation of Ukraine, led by their Jewish president Volodymyr Zelensky, is leading the Ukrainian people both tactically and spiritually in an existential fight against an unjust Russian invasion of their country. Over the arc of our religion's history, Jews have been called time and again to defend the tenets of our religion and our ability to practice it. While some of you may view these examples as part of a long list that glorifies war and promotes murderous heroes, from the earliest teachings of Judaism, there was an understanding that there must be limits placed on militaristic activities and ambitions. The Torah establishes general guidelines of conduct during wars, which includes limits on looting and identifies certain restrictions on carrying out sieges. Early Jewish scholars such as Maimonides also discussed the difference between obligatory and discretionary wars, teachings that were well ahead of their time. Furthermore, instead of glorifying all militants who have defeated enemies in the name of Israel, Judaism takes a nuanced look at the morality of historical warriors and views them for the complex figures that they are. As an example, King David, who conquered Jerusalem and defeated numerous groups who persecuted the Jews, is not solely idolized for his military successes. Rather, he is remembered just as much for the negative aspects of his legacy as he is for the glory he brought to the Jewish people. This is in line with the principles that modern Western militaries drill into their members. While conducting war, it is essential that soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines are ethical when carrying out their duties. In this week's Torah portion, Bamidbar, God commands Moses to conduct a census of all men over the age of 20, ostensibly to prepare for a military action. Adonai says, "Take a census of the whole Israelite company of fighters by the clans of its ancestral houses, listing the names, every male, head by head. You and Aaron shall record them by their groups, from the age of 20 years up, all those in Israel who are able to bear arms." The Israelites are preparing to enter and conquer Canaan, and God recognizes that Moses and Aaron, two of his senior commanders, must raise and prepare a militia in case they need to conduct military operations to gain control of the Holy Land. The idea of a military draft via the census, employing able-bodied men from all tribes, was unique for the time, since even the elite families had to provide people towards the army. This contribution of all people towards the common good is something that many societies, in their most vulnerable moments, have asked their citizens to participate in. These sacrifices aren't always life or death propositions. Sometimes it may be donating money to charity, rationing water during a severe drought, or pitching in to aid neighbors after a devastating wildfire. These sacrifices may not be as extreme as those who die contributing to military conflict, but they are often just as important in advancing righteous causes. As we read further into the book of Numbers, the Israelites suffer many of the same issues that modern militaries still face. The field conditions are terrible, the logistics are consistently subpar, and even the divinely inspired leaders make some questionable decisions. While some of the Israelites express their frustrations with their advance towards the Holy Land, ultimately, everyone in the community plays a role in the Israelites' ultimate ascension to the land of Israel. Just as in the past, the road to righteousness and justice that we face in the world today is not easy. Be it an existential military conflict, like the fight occurring in Ukraine as we speak, or more protracted problems that we face as a society, like climate change or poverty, progress can only be found through steadfast commitment by everyone in the community to sacrifice what is needed in order to make the situation better. For some, that sacrifice entails signing up for military service, but there are many ways for people to put service before self and contribute to the common good without donning a camouflage uniform. As we honor those who give the ultimate sacrifice on this Memorial Day weekend, I encourage us to think about all of the small ways that we can sacrifice towards the common good. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Wow. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, wait, you gotta wait. I gotta give you a hug. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Fabulous. Yeah, you enjoy the water, yes. Now I know who you are. You're not just part of, oh, you're very thirsty. Not just protecting our country and stepping forward. You're a scholar. Welcome.
Fun way to say nerd, but
No, it's a great way to say scholar. Toda rabah. Thank you. And I understand that you have many people joining us online from back east, you know, and I gotta say, I'm so glad that you're joining us and that, yes, this was very worth staying up late for. So thank you. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you.
Don't you think he should introduce his family?
I was just going to say that.
I thought
yes,
you were. I could see it
they're
written on the side of your.
yes. Okay. Thank you. You don't want to keep this?
I'll pick it up later.
Oh, okay.
I got our own thing. There's no bar mitzvah this week, right? So you need someone to
No, so
introduce
we need
people,
somebody
right?
to go around and you can just
Yeah.
go around and introduce everybody.
If you'd like to go and have a bar mitzvah tomorrow, we can.
I don't know if my Hebrew's good enough, but we'll work on it. With me, I have my brand new fiance Betty. We got engaged like 2 weeks ago.
Mazel
Very
tov.
exciting.
Mazel tov.
Her dad Bruce, who's in from Kansas. Bruce's girlfriend Christine, who's in from Arkansas. And then our roommate Fernanda, who is a dermatologist from Mexico. So if anyone's looking for skincare, Fernanda's the person. And then
Bienvenido.
online, I believe, if they're still awake, I turned off my phone, so I'm not sure, but my grandma and my parents and my brothers, I think, are all watching together back in Maryland. And I'm actually flying home tomorrow because it's my one brother's birthday tomorrow, and my other brother graduated from college last week. So
Wow.
it's a
Mazel tov.
celebratory occasion.
It's a lot to celebrate,
it is.
and we need more of that, so I'm glad. Thank you. And welcome to all of you. I'm so glad that you could join us tonight, online and here.
At home and abroad.
At home and abroad, yes. And now you moved. I thought, oh no, what happened to Josh? I was telling Josh that his son Zephan always sits right in that front seat, right there. And he's been sitting there since he was like old enough to hold the book. I don't know if he was reading it, but he was holding it. And when he's not here, it feels a little empty to me. So, Josh, give us some announcements.
Thank you, Cantor, and thank you, Michael. And thank you, Captain Resnick, for that wonderful history, and I loved how you connected it to Judaism and to the Torah portion of the week. And I join you in thinking this weekend about those who gave their lives in service to our country. Tonight, after services, there'll be an oneg in the courtyard. Tomorrow morning, there's Torah study at 9:30 in the morning. Just a reminder for Memorial Day on Monday, the CBI office is closed and there will be no mahjong this week. Starting next weekend, we have a lot going on. Next Friday is Pride Shabbat. Next Saturday kicks off all the fun festivities of Shavuot, from the ice cream social and mini mignon for the younger families with younger children, to Kun Leil Shavuot with learning opportunities, and then the Shavuot service and confirmation, which is personal to me as I have a son who's being confirmed next week, and the Shavuot Yizkor service. That's on Sunday and I think Monday. The last Israeli book club with Dr. Adar Cohen is Monday, June 6th, and a conversation about anti-Semitism, race, and racism in the modern world with Dr. Bruce Haynes is Tuesday, June 7th. Camp Shalanu is open for registration, and they are still hiring. I think I mentioned confirmation class. There's actually a little web page that has information on a wonderful raffle if you're looking for something to do there. And all of this and more is in the Hadashot. Luckily, they give me a nice little summary, or I'd be up here for an hour going through all the fun things that are going on. I'd like to ask any board members who are here tonight, and I saw a few, to stand up and introduce yourselves. And any committee chairs also. There might be one more committee
Michael
chair.
Hersher, Chair of the Lifelong Learning Committee.
All right, thank you everybody, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. We continue our service with our concluding prayers, beginning with the Elena, which can be found on the bottom of page 586. Please rise. Here we go. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet kedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu koreim u'mishtakavim u'modim lifnei melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim v'yosed haaretz u'moshav yakaro b'shamayim ima'ah u'shchinatu zo begovei meromim hu Eloheinu einod emet malkeinu efes ulato kakatuv betorato ve'adata hayom ve'hashevota elevavecha Ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim b'shamayim ima'ah ve'al ha'aretz mitachat einod v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Please be seated. And our thoughts now turn towards loved ones who are no longer with us. And it is with great sorrow that we remember the recent passing of Alan Blitzstein, beloved father of Laura Halen and Jeff Blitzstein, beloved uncle of Joanne and Alex Swedlow, and beloved great uncle of Jacob and Nathan Swedlow. And it is with great sadness that we remember the recent passing of Marvin Fisher, beloved father of Wendy Fisher and beloved grandfather of Lexi Nicodemus. We also hold in our hearts all those who were lost at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, and all those who were lost at Tops Friendly Market in Buffalo, New York. Zichronam livracha, may their memories forever be a blessing. We also remember loved ones who passed away at this time in years past. We remember David Albert, Muriel Bach Diamond, Elizabeth Baumgardner, Benjamin Kaplan, Lois Christie, Paula Dreyfus, Crystal Droscher, Sarah Fawn, Jack Fisher, Catherine Forcade, Judith Foxman, Sarah Frank, Bessie Frazen, Etta Greenberg, David Grunwald, Shirley Harris, Janet Jacob, Herbert Jacobowitz, Rose Jacobs, Albert Cantor, Bernice Cantor, Hugh Capel, Aaron Krotinger, Isidore Kubel, Florence Liebenhaut, Philip Levy, Stanley Macht, Jay Macht, Eleanor Mandelson, Joseph Miller, Dora Pakelis, Corrine Pereira, Esteban Ramirez, Samuel Rosenbaum, David Rosenthal, Saul Rubin, Morris Shefsky, John Shannon, Dora Silver, Minnie Silverman, Manning Slater, Willie Smith, Edward Stanger, Jeannie Stern, Seymour Ulancy, Jose Vasquez, Stephen Wallach, Lucille Wheel, Jack Weintraub, and Heidi Williamson. If there are names of loved ones for whom you are saying Kaddish tonight, please feel free to say their names out loud or to write their names in the chat as my gaze meets yours. Sylvia Behrman. If you are here to say Kaddish tonight, I'd like to invite you to please rise so that the congregation can join me in these words of comfort. Hamakom yenechem etchem betoch sha'ar avalei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We rise as a community for the Mourners Kaddish on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'almad divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam l'olmei olmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemed kudsha brichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say.
Amen.
Please be seated. What you got, Michael?
So, I was a little hard-pressed to come up with a song for Memorial Day, given that I never served in the armed services. In fact, when I was a young man, I spent a lot of time trying to not go to Vietnam. But that was a different time, and it was a different world. I would have gone and fought the Nazis, but as my father did. And I have a quick story to tell you about patriotism and service to your country. And sometimes the country isn't as grateful as it might be. My father came back from serving in World War II in France. And he was a liberal his whole life. He believed in labor unions and civil rights and women's rights and social insurance and all kinds of stuff that was, kind of part of the New Deal. And he went to conventions and rallies to support liberal causes, even after he came back from fighting in the war. And the first job that he got was with the Veterans Administration Hospital in Chicago. And after a couple months on the job, he got a notice that he was being fired for disloyalty to the United States because of his radical activities and the radical activities of other people in his family. They were subversive elements. And my father was not a man who got angry much. He was very, very rational. But he was irate. He was irate that he would come back from putting his life on the line as a GI, slogging through the mud of France to liberate Europe from the Nazis, and the first thing that happens to him when he comes back is he loses his job because he's not loyal. So I'm not sure where that story goes. It goes to the fact that we should appreciate the people who serve this country and not turn on them later. So here's a song that partly I rewrote for tonight. And strangely enough, it covers all the themes that Philip touched on. Our fathers bled at Valley Ford. The snow was red with blood. Their faith was warm at Valley Ford. Their faith was brotherhood. Wasn't that a time? Wasn't that a time? A time to try the human soul. Wasn't that a terrible time? Brave men who died at and Gettysburg now lie in soldiers' graves, but there they stem the slavery tide, and there the faith was saved. Wasn't that a time? Wasn't that a time? A time to try the human soul. Wasn't that a terrible time? How many wars has Israel fought to call a place a home? How many more will fall in war before we all can say shalom? Wasn't that a time? Wasn't that a time? A time to try the human soul. Wasn't that a terrible time? Our children died at Sandy Hook. More died at Uvalde. How many more will pay the price for violence, guns, and hate? Isn't this a time? Isn't this a time? A time to love the human soul. Isn't this a wonderful time? Isn't this a wonderful time? Isn't this a wonderful time?
Amen. That's beautiful. I think you should make a habit of rewriting words. And now we turn to sanctification. That God gives us wine to celebrate, wine to remember there's joy in life and in the world, and that not only do we have wine to enjoy, but we are meant to sanctify it. We are meant to bring its joy as holiness into our lives. You gotta love being Jewish. It's a really good thing. Please join me in the Kiddush. I love how some of you virtually join with the, or bring your own, on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techilah למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי באנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim u'l'shalom. Uftuvo. I'm going to give that to you. Soon, someday, we will all be gathered again with our own Kiddush up on the bima. So Dean has sometimes given us a little surprise. He's not, nope, not today. So for those of you who are not familiar, we bless the challah. We bless the bread before we eat. But this one is a stunt challah. It is meant to be handled and not to be eaten. And it's got quite a life. So we bless, and then there will be fresh, delicious challah at the oneg to enjoy. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom. V'te'avon. Please join us in the courtyard for a wonderful oneg that awaits.